welcome everybody to the next edition of Chiefs Focus First and 10. You're here with Caleb and Thizz. How are you doing, man?
What's going on? How you doing, Caleb?
I'm doing good, Thizz. Thanks for coming on. Just want to
No,
let everybody know, unfortunately, JP is dealing with COVID and it's really bad. He's vaccinated and boosted, but it's really getting to him. And he's been fighting for the last few days. So everyone just send thoughts and prayers to JP and just send us some DMs wishing him the best because this stuff isn't fun to deal
absolutely.
with. So
No, it isn't.
yeah, you're not wrong with this, and just everyone send wishes to him and hope he gets well. Because because one thing about this is known JP longer than I have, but JP will work and work and work. And I told him, hey
Yeah,
man, I know you want to keep pushing this up to a new stratosphere, but just take some rest. Only do something if you have the time or feel like it, because this stuff is deadly. And personally want you more around so you can continue to live a healthy life, but also be with your family, and that's kind of what we're hoping for. So Liz and I just kind of extend that to JP, just saying, hey, man, get some rest in. You're listening, buddy. You will kick COVID's butt. So you will be feeling better soon, man. Just keep it up.
yes, indeed. Yeah, because COVID got me last August, so it's definitely not good. So he just needs to rest. So I'm glad you called me and got me on. So we're
Yeah. Well,
good on that one.
I appreciate this. Thanks for coming on, man. We'll be having you on
No problem.
more often pretty soon once you get some stuff figured out. But this, man, we're looking at this big game coming up. Chiefs versus Bills, divisional round of the playoffs. What are your thoughts, man?
Well, what is this, round 5 for them?
4.
And 4.
Mm-hmm.
We were looking at 2 losses or 2 wins, 1 loss, correct, against
Mm-hmm.
this Josh Allen Bills.
Yep.
Um, it's gonna be a dogfight, man. I'm gonna tell you that right now. This is not gonna go by easy at all. Josh Allen is trying to. You could see him being the Patrick Mahomes of 2019, if you understand what I'm saying.
I understand exactly what you're saying.
And I know Chiefs fan, Bills fans, and every other fan that can't stand Patrick Mahomes doesn't want to hear that. But uh, Josh Allen has been lights out. He's been playing like over my dead body type of deal.
Mhm.
He's been having over my dead body kind of wins. Like he's gonna will them to win. And so we have to recognize that in an effort to realize that he's good enough, the team's good enough, and that this is not last year's Buffalo Bills.
Oh no, it's not. Yeah, I think as you nailed it right on the head, my friend. I think kind of when you're looking at this game from a standpoint, as you said, this is Mahomes versus Allen 4, and Mahomes has gotten the best of Allen two games. And when you're looking at it,
Absolutely.
yeah, and when you're looking at it, this is not going to be an easy game because it's going to be difficult. The the Bills just came off a absolute destroying run on the Patriots. They basically unleashed 20 years of anger on them and literally blew them out of their
Yes,
playoff games.
yes.
Josh Allen was playing lights out. I mean, every phase of their game, offense, defense, special teams were doing everything they were supposed to do in turn to help them win. And the Chiefs are kind of a similar situation, but they got off to more of a rocky start, having the interception by Mahomes. Then they couldn't move the ball. Then a fumble on the wild caught by Darrell Williams. TJ Watt picks up, runs in for a touchdown. So when you link all those things combined together, and then we end up seeing the Chiefs end up scoring 5 touchdowns on 11 game minutes, it's kind of crazy to see kind of having to work. But what we see is these two teams that are on a collision course. And when I'm looking at it personally, I think the Chiefs can beat the Bills for many different reasons. Number one, we have the more complete team, we have the better quarterback, and we have the better coach, and we can actually play defense when our defense steps up to a heightened level, if you know what I'm saying.
I do know what you're saying, but I wanna throw this out there.
Okay.
I know that we do have a better our defense. We have a good defense. The issue I'm realizing is if you rewind to earlier this season, um, mm, I know Mahomes has evolved more, right? Since those 5 losses that we've endured, and and dealing with so much this season, learning to throw from the pocket and things of that nature. He's cleaned up his game a lot since all of those mishaps earlier in the season. However, we saw those mishaps, a few mishaps this past week, and I'm gonna let you know
Hmm.
the Bills will not go down easy.
They won't.
They will not lay down, i.e. the Steelers. The Steelers, I don't want to say they laid down, but there was nothing else they could do. There was just nothing else they could do. So they knew they were going into a buzzsaw and they just governed themselves accordingly and they said, let's just not get blown. Let's just not get shut out. That's kind of what I saw from that game.
Mm.
But for the Bills, they're out here trying to win. And this would get them to the AFC championship because if they get anywhere less than the AFC championships, I believe this season is a failure for them,
Mm.
for both teams, because both teams made it to the AFC championship last season, right?
Exactly.
So both teams are high flying offenses. Mahomes can run, Allen can run. Defenses are doing well. Defensive lines have stepped up. Good receivers, great receivers. Dawson Knox is not Travis Kelce. However, he is a good tight end,
Mm.
headed to being better. He's not great, and I don't think that's going to come along in the next couple seasons. But he is exactly what Josh Allen needs to get him out of those pinches where he gets in trouble. Um, it's like these two teams are just so evenly matched, man. I they're so evenly matched. The Bills feel like they modeled their team after the Chiefs, and
I see what you're saying.
I'm saying that because they built a team around Josh Allen, same way we built our team around Patrick Mahomes. But both our teams did not make those decisions until they made those decisions before we got the arm talent that we got. Before Patrick Mahomes, we had everything in place to we had all the guys that we needed in place. We just needed a couple of extras. It's the same thing with the Buffalo Bills. They built a little team and then they just needed that extra thing to push them over the top, and that was Josh Allen. And we just kind of evolved a little bit quicker than they did, and then they had to run up against us every year. So I think that we're evenly matched, and it's going to be a lot to deal with. It's going to be a lot to deal with, but we'll see what happens.
I see what you're saying, man. I think this game is not going to be easy. It's not going to be easy at all. When you're looking at these two teams, like you said, they're both evenly matched. And one thing I kind of noticed is that even though the Bills they're kind of similar to the Chiefs, they kind of still struggle on defense. I mean, just kind of looking at their losses throughout the year, they lost to a Jacksonville Jaguars team. The Steelers shut them out at the beginning of the year. They had another they lost to Patriots, and they had I think two or three more losses. I can't remember off the top of my head, but they had some losses similar to the Chiefs. And kind of looking at them, if you can get to Josh Allen and get him rattled, that is kind of the key for the Chiefs. And what they really need to do is their front four needs to get to him, but we need a spy. We can't allow him to run everywhere, because if Allen starts running everywhere and Spags refuses to use a spy, then it's going to be difficult for our defense. I mean, kind of looking to the whole situation with the Willie Gay and everything now, we're still trying to figure out what's going to happen with him after him being arrested for a misdemeanor. And I guess he's already been released and has to pay a fine. I don't really know
Yes.
that. I don't know if he's going to play this Sunday. From the tweet I saw from Rob Collins of Fox 4, he's saying it's basically up to Andy, I guess, because and also another, I think it wasn't Sam Melger, it was another guy had a tweet out, and he's covers the Chiefs from the Athletic, and he was saying that it's very
Nate
rare.
Taylor.
Yeah, yeah. Sorry, who'd you say?
Nate Taylor.
No, it was that other guy. It's that other guy.
Okay.
Minnesota. I don't remember his name, but he was basically saying,
Seth Kaiser.
yeah, Seth Cox. Yeah, he was saying in his state, it's very rare for people to get arrested for a misdemeanor like that. So I mean, it's different when it comes to Johnson County, Kansas. So we'll see what happens when it comes if Willie Gay will play. because I think if he doesn't play, that changes the game immensely. But kind of just looking at it, the Buffalo Bills' defense is good, and I feel like they're good against average and bad teams. And the only reason why they beat the Chiefs the first time around earlier in the season was because of two main things. Number one, our play calling was not good at all. Number two, Mahomes was stuck in the pocket. And because he was stuck in the pocket, he was not able to make the throws, and the offense wasn't the same. Also, the Bills just don't have a run defense. I really think the Chiefs can bully them. I know they've drafted some players, but I've seen them continuously get bullied when it comes to the run game. And I think the Chiefs can honestly, this game is built for offensive line to play bully ball. If you want to continue to run the ball down the throats, occasionally get those screen passes. But if there's one thing I know about Andy Reid, he will figure a way to crack their defensive code even more. Because I know Thizz, and you've probably seen a lot of Bills fans have been talking all week. They've been talking a lot of stuff, man. And I think the players see that, and they're also embarrassed by that Week 5 performance. So, what are your thoughts?
I mean, I do get what you're saying. I think that there are a lot of decent losses on, like a lot of uh, losses that they shouldn't have had on their record. But then again, we look at our team, the Chiefs, and there's losses we shouldn't have had. And so if we can the idea is to keep everybody relatively healthy, just to try to help this. But I know Josh Allen runs. I know that. And for our defense is, I don't want to go to the extreme of the Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde analogy, but I know there's times where we're lights out. And then there's other times where we might want to be lights out and it's just not there, if you understand what I'm saying. So it's not all there, and then it doesn't kind of materialize until like the third or fourth quarter, second half of the game. So when I say that, I'm looking at I'm looking at I'm sorry, I'm trying
You're
to
good,
figure out
man.
which game. I'm sitting here looking at the wild card game replay, but I can't think of which game I'm thinking of. The Bengals game. That's the one I'm thinking of. Granted, uh, Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow were carving them up, but then there were situations where that could have been deadly. I mean, that could have been really bad for us, and we did end up losing that game. However, that could have been even worse for us than it actually was.
Mm.
So we got to realize that Josh Allen, he's going to get in this pissing contest with Patrick Mahomes,
Oh, he'll
because
sling it. He will sling it.
he
He's
wants
not
to
going down
prove
without a fight. And the Chiefs need to shut that down quick.
he wants to prove that he's a better arm thrower than Patrick Mahomes, which actually leads me to believe that he will not. He will run when he has to because that's what he needs to do to win, and that's the ultimate thing here. But I have a feeling that he'll want to get into a pissing contest, and so, in my opinion, what we need to do to help our offense out, they do have they can rush. Okay. So I think Andy and them need to realize that there needs to be help. There needs to be help on the on Rimmer's side.
Mm.
Um, I think that's the right tackle. If I'm not
Yes.
tripping, the right
Unless
tackle.
I think Niang came back. I'm not.
And
Oh no,
even
you're right.
still,
Yeah, it is. It is
I
Remmers. My
think
bad. It is
it is
Remmers.
Rimmer's, and I think there needs to be some help, like even if it's the running back blocking or chipping.
Mm-hmm.
If they get uh, Burton, the fullback, down there to help. There needs to be some help on that right side. Um, they don't have guys like TJ Watt, but they do, or Cam Hayward, but they do have, uh, oh man, dog, I can't even remember his
Is
name.
it Gregory Rousseau?
Russo, that's the guy. That's the guy
Okay,
I'm thinking about. He came out of that draft, and he's the one that picked off Patrick Mahomes at the line
he
of
did.
scrimmage
Mm-hmm.
last game. So we're talking about, they see that Patrick Mahomes and our offense puts the ball on gives them opportunities. So we need to limit that. That's number one. Number two, in my opinion, they need to continue to get these other wide receivers involved because they'll be all over Tyreek and Travis Kelce. They will all. I mean, because those are the naturals. Those are the easy targets right
Oh, for
there.
sure. Oh, for sure.
But if you can get Noah Gray involved, in fact, I would love to see a jumbo package of tight ends and fullbacks. So Noah Gray, Burton, Trey Burton. Is it Trey Burton? I don't know. It's not Trey Burton. It's the
Noah
fullback.
Gray, Michael Burton is a fullback.
Michael Burton. Thank you. Michael Burton, and then even get our other tight ends in there, and then that's get your jumbo packages out. Like
Mm-hmm.
this is not the time to hold back on your offensive play calling.
And I
I
agree with
don't
you,
think
Thiz. I agree with
so.
you. And I don't mean to interrupt you, man, but I think kind of looking forward, you nail it right on the head. They kind of have to show a little bit more to win this game. I know Andy doesn't want to, but in my opinion, if you win this game this Sunday against the Buffalo Bills, you will either play the Cincinnati Bengals or the Tennessee Titans. Both those teams don't have a strong defense. Would you agree with that? Would you agree with that statement, Thiz? I'm just kind of curious.
The Tennessee Titans or the
Bengals. Do you think they have a
the
strong
Bengals.
defense, or are they kind of?
I think I
I
think
feel like
both.
Sorry, go
I
ahead.
think both fences are good enough. But the
Okay.
issue, I mean, but the thing about it is Tennessee. I don't trust their defensive backfield.
Mm-hmm.
And as far as if I'm a fan of their team, I wouldn't trust their defensive backfield. And for the Bengals, I don't trust their defensive front field because their two defensive tackles are injured, and their names escape me. I had their names in notes, but their two defensive tackles are hurt, and I think one's going to miss 2 to 3 weeks,
Mm-hmm.
and the other is like 6 to 8, maybe on IR. So, um, yeah. So if we can get past this game, then we can start looking at them. And I don't really mind. Like I think as far as thrower of the ball, I think Burrow's the bigger matchup. But
Yeah, the bigger matchup.
this one, I think the Bills are going to be our huge matchup. That's the one that like the Bills have everything to have motivation. This takes them to the next step. And so Josh Allen's trying to get to the Patrick Mahomes stratosphere, and he's not there yet. So it's a lot of things. It's a lot of things, man.
Yeah, because when you're looking at the defensive tiers in the AFC, I kind of saw the Buffalo Bills are better than the Steelers, but I still feel like if Andy Reid can still game plan and figure out and let loose, but the players also need to execute. And if they can do that, they can win this game. But looking over the defensive side of the ball, they have to get to Josh Allen. If they don't get to him and disrupt him, it's going to be a difficult game. You already know they're going to be coming out crazy. They've already won at Arrowhead in that crazy game, week 5 in the rain. I know Tyra and them are pissed. They're going to want to go out there and win. I mean, when you look at it, at the end of the day, they were embarrassed. Dirty Dan, as much as we don't like him, he got exposed in that game. Several missed tackles, long touchdowns. I mean, when you're looking at it, it's kind of like you got to let Thornhill start. If he doesn't start, I don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you on that. I just look at this game and it's just so evenly matched to me. It seems as though they just built their team to beat the Chiefs, and seems that they modeled their offense after the Chiefs. But I'm gonna tell you one guy who we haven't heard from on that offense that I want to highlight real quick,
Okay.
if you don't mind.
Yeah, go ahead, bro. The floor is yours.
Emmanuel freaking Sanders.
That is true. He could have a big game.
You cannot forget about that dude right there. He might have diminished in his skills and ability just because of age catches up to you at some point. But if you forget about him, he will end up doing to you what he did against us as a Denver Bronco. So we can't him and Dawson Knox we cannot forget about.
We can't.
We're always gonna look at Diggs and say, hey, we need to make sure we take care of this guy. But Diggs hasn't even been like greatly highlighted in my opinion because he hasn't needed to be. Between is it Devin Singletary?
Yeah, Devin Singletary, the running back.
Between him and Dawson Knox, those are Josh Allen's Devin Singletary recently, but Dawson Knox is what's the name, safety blanket. So we got to watch out for him and Emmanuel Sanders. It's something that Emmanuel Sanders is easily somebody you can forget about,
Mm-hmm.
but he can hurt you if you let him.
Who would you want? So I'm going to kind of go through the list. Who would you want to guard Emmanuel Sanders, Devin Singletary, and then and then also Dawson Knox? Because I already have a feeling Charvarius Ward is going to be on Stephon Diggs. So who would you want to see? So kind of in those three guys, who do you think should be guarding Dawson Knox first? We'll start with him.
You're gonna have to. What you're gonna have to do is shade somebody over him, because if they put Ward on Diggs and he does a decent job at it, like if he does a decent job at it, and he doesn't end up being like Jamar Chase was, because that's really, and I keep bringing that up because that's really the only time I saw. I mean, there might have been one more time that I'm not thinking of, but that's the only time I really saw Charvarius Ward kind of get worked this season. He got cooked. Okay.
Yeah.
So I don't think Diggs will do that. And especially if they end up shading Matthew to that side. But I would put a guy like Willie Gay on Dawson Knox. Mm-hmm. If you can do it one-on-one, that's fine. But then you also got to worry about getting outside the pocket. Josh Allen getting outside the pocket, and I actually think Willie Gay is the best person for that. So I would put because Hitchens is too small.
Hitchens, it's his time's kind of done. You gotta let players like Nick Bolton come up.
So here's what I'm saying: if you really want to put a spy on somebody, I would put Nick Bolton as the spy, mm-hmm. and not as a traditional spy, but as a rushing spy. If you understand that analogy,
no, I see what you're saying.
Of course, you don't blitz him all the time, but actually send him to create pressure a little bit of the time, and then get Willie Gay out there with Dawson Knox, because I think Bolton's too small to be guarding Dawson Knox. He'll get stiff armed into Uganda. So I don't want him to mm-hmm. be put on a poster, if you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
It is going to be different. Like, you're going to have to. I know Spags likes to wait before he sends lots of blitzes, and I don't think he should go blitz crazy in this game, because you got to realize. Here's what my perfect game plan would be. You bait Josh Allen into throwing that ball deep, but you got to have your safeties ready.
Yes.
And I'm not saying ready to bat the ball down. I'm saying ready to take the ball away. Bait him to throw it downfield and then be ready to pounce on it. Your safeties are good enough to do that. And so are your corners, honestly. Get L'Jarius Sneed the ability to do that and just see what happens. And just let your front four, make sure your front four is what's getting to the quarterback, but make sure it's working first.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think you're right. Kind of one thing when looking at the Chiefs in the past, they've always kind of seemed to have issues getting after quarterback. Now, as of late, it's gotten better. But they're gonna have to disrupt Allen. If you disrupt Allen, the whole team's gonna crumble, in my opinion. However, when you're looking at the Chiefs, you can disrupt Mahomes, but he's gonna find another way to beat you.
Yeah, he's got to find another way to beat you. They found out what they need to do with Mahomes, and we know what we need to do with Josh Allen. You need to be physical with him. You can't. Like when we send rushers, I'm giving you an example. Tyrann Mathieu, he cannot pull up. I've seen him pull up too many times. I don't know what he's thinking. but you got to go balls to the wall when you talk about rushing
Just
Josh
smack him.
Allen because if you're talking about because he can take off at any time,
You can.
and then you're going one direction, he's going a different direction. Your momentum's taking you past him, so he'll go past you, no problem. So we got to think about that. So whoever you send rushing, Tyron's good at getting the pressure, but pressure isn't enough. You got to create the sack.
Mhm. So,
That's my main goal. Pressure, just mainly pressure, is not enough.
do you think this is a big game for Frank Clark then?
Yes, absolutely. Set the edge because you got it. Because Devin Singletary's running out his mind now. He's not like 100-yard receiver. I mean, runner, but
Mm-hmm.
he's still a good runner, and you got to make sure you set the edge to force him to go inside as much as you can. And inside is a little bit different for him because he's such a small back. Um, he might be able to find different seams, but that's what you want him to do. You'd rather him look around big guys trying to find seams as opposed to running to the outside and being able to hit that corner and accelerate upfield. So I'd rather him run through the traffic.
I got you. Would you say the same? Are you saying so? I know McKinnon's also a smaller back too. So I know we're kind of jumping from one side to the other. But do you think McKinnon? What do you think McKinnon can do in this game?
Uh, I don't know if I really want McKinnon to be our only back. Like I think it needs to be a running back by committee style. Me and JP talk about it all the time,
Mm-hmm.
and you agree. So you agree,
Mm-hmm.
but I think this could be a running back by committee game. If you're talking about a running back by committee where you give them different looks, different styles of running, just to mix it up, hey, I'm here for that because I don't want this to be like I said it before. I think this is so going to be a pissing contest for Josh Allen trying to be better than Patrick Mahomes. Why get into that game? Why? Why should we worry about getting into that?
No,
If
all we
we
gotta do
can
is win.
if we can win running the ball, let's do it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And
Oh yeah.
I'm here sending I'm cool with sending Tyreek out the backfield sometimes. Just on trick plays. If you understand what I'm saying,
Mm-hmm.
nothing not lining up in the eye or nothing like that. Just kind of trick plays, i.e. what he did when he uh got that touchdown against the Steelers. Something like that. RPOs, crap like that. I don't want
Mm-hmm.
to line him up in the backfield. But if you can find a way to get him rushing, because he's got the speed to hit the edge, or send or the end arounds with McCall, not yeah, with McCall, like those type of things are what we need. And yes, they're looking for it, but we got the speed to do it, and we got to make sure we just get to the places where we're supposed to be.
I feel like Andy is going to do a good job of out scheming the Bills. I mean, yeah, their defense is good, but I feel like we could have easily won that game if a couple players were playing their positions, and then also Mahomes was considered in like pocket quarterback. And just kind of looking at, I mean, if they can win the game, run the ball, that'd be awesome. I think Andy's still going to throw the ball too, but I think he still has a trust in Pat to make the plays. And we've seen Pat make the plays. I mean, he hasn't had a road playoff game yet. And I think he is, what is he 4-2? Is he 5-2 in playoff games? Is that his record, Thizz? I think I'm right. Okay. I think he might be 5-2. But just kind of looking at that just shows me is that sorry, what did you say this?
No, I think you're right. I think you're right.
Mhm. I think kind of looking at the end of the day, seeing Mahomes play in a game like this, he's been in these big stages before. The Chiefs know they can win, and they were embarrassed last time. You got embarrassed at your home by 18 points, basically a blowout. What I see the Chiefs do is they're going to come out. I think the Bills might try to take the ball first, and they're going to try to march down the field, and our defense is going to be like, well, you can try, but we're going to bring some pressure. Now, maybe granted, they're going to get some field goals, but the Chiefs are going to have to score a lot more touchdowns because this Bills offense can turn on and off like a light switch. Different things can happen. If you let Josh Allen move all crazy out of the backfield and throw some crazy bomb, he could get one of those passes go down and be completion. So they have to execute all phases of the game.
I agree. They have to be on offense. They have to be opportunistic, and defense has to create those opportunities. Um, what I said, like, there's two notes that I wanted to make certain of. They got to limit the turnovers. When I say limit the turnovers, those turnovers that that the Steelers that we had against the Steelers, they will come back and bite us, a team like the Bills. So
Oh,
we
for
got to
sure.
limit. Yeah, we got to limit that, even though they were accidents, so obviously, but you got to limit that. Um, um, the Bills defense is actually good enough to create those opportunities for themselves. So we got to make sure we don't give them that. The second thing is Andy needs to be doing the play calling.
Preach it, Biz. You sound like a preacher over there, man. Preach it.
I'm just Andy's got to do the play calling. All that mess, like I'm not. I know JP has the inside scoop. I don't have that inside scoop. Uh, just the way that the first 15 or the first drive came out on the Steelers game, it just looked very clunky.
Yeah,
Nothing worked together. Nothing was meshing, and and sometimes you can blame that on the players and their jitters or what have you. But that didn't feel like that time against the Steelers. It didn't feel like that. It just felt like a clunky game plan to me. And that's why I say Andy needs to be calling the first 15, because when Andy calls the first 15, it almost is like a waltz, like just a beautiful symphony in play, and it's just flawless. And
exactly.
so just Mahomes needs to make sure he settles down and then work the game plan as long as it's good and go for there. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, man. If Andy calls a first 15, and actually he calls a play calls all game, you saw the offensive firepower your team has, and you can see what they're doing, what they can do. Also, when Andy started calling the play calls, which player stepped up that we did not expect to see? Do you remember the player?
Demarcus Robinson.
Yep, Demarcus Robinson. And that was
Absolutely.
crazy because I'm like, this man will be running backwards, holding the ball with one hand, but he was getting he had like 40 yards. 40
Yes, and
yards. I was like, that was crucial.
it seems like Andy put him in spots where between the inbounds and the out of bounds, just inside the outside the hash marks, to make sure that he's not going to have the opportunity to run backwards. He had like two or three two or three receptions, and they were great receptions. And
They were.
so we got to realize that Tyreek ain't going to win you this game. Travis might, because
Travis
Travis
Storm.
Travis
Sorry.
just finds a way to be open. I don't know how, but he finds a way to get open. So we got to realize that sometimes it's going to take your Byron Pringles. It's going to take your McCole Harbins. It's going to take your Demarcus Robinsons and whomever else.
And kind of when I'm looking at it, this could be a big game for all. Even though Demarcus Robinson, I think McCall Harmon could step up in a way. When the way I've been
Yeah,
seeing
I
things
agree with
is,
you.
if you let McCall Harmon take jet sweeps, maybe some running plays out of the backfield along with those screen passes, I know people are hating on him, but look, his way in the way he fits his offense is in a short yardage game because he has the ability to blow the top off the defense. There's no point to send him on a post or send him on a fade. Let him do a slant. Let him do something that's going to allow him to use his speed in short yardage situations to expand the boundaries. And when he does that, it helps your team as a whole. And I think it can really help the offense. I mean, when we looked at the last time the Chiefs played the Bills, when we were looking at the AFC Championship game, McCall Harmon fumbled the punt, and the Chiefs were down, was at 9-0. McCall Harmon
Yeah,
on the next drive had 2 big receptions and a touchdown. And then he was still an instrumental part of the game. They need to keep that up. They need to keep that up in order to help them have the edge because right now the Chiefs have a lot more offensive weapons. They do.
I don't
And we
disagree with you.
and
I
we
don't disagree with you. I think they need to make sure that I'm agreeing with you in this point. I
mhm,
do think they need to dial up, even if it goes to dialing up plays specifically for the the Tyreek Hill and the Travis Kelsey's, to not be productive at first and then get them involved later, yeah, that's fine to me. That's fine. Get your running plays involved or your running guys involved, get McCole involved, not force them to get involved. Don't force it to them, but just kind of ebb and flow it and get it done. That's how I feel, man. But I mean, I don't want to move forward, but I want to ask you.
Oh, you're good, man.
I want to ask you, is there any way the defense dictates the flow of this game
Oh yeah, the
for
Bills
either
defense or the
for
Chiefs
either side?
defense?
For either
Oh,
side.
either
Is
side.
there
Okay.
any way? Because the reason I ask is because I'm sitting here watching the game and I feel like the defense did keep the defense kept the Steelers at bay. Yeah, that's all well and good, but I'm talking about like the defense gets a takeaway before we even score or before we even have the ball on offense. If you understand what I'm saying,
No, I
like
see what you're saying, man.
they
Was it?
create they
Mhm.
create turnovers and pressures and are able to get us the ball back or what have you.
Yeah. So looking at that, I'm gonna jump to the Bills side first. I think the Bills can dictate the game if they can get pressure on Mahomes, but most importantly, sack him. And if they can get a turnover or two, get Mahomes to turn the ball over, it's gonna help them because it's gonna give them an extra possession in order to score. So if they can, you can rattle Mahomes. You can put pressure, but Mahomes is still going to make the play. Now, if you can cause him to have bad throws, you can cause him to have fumble the ball or interception. That's kind of how you can stop him in that aspect. When we see Mahomes, he may go from interception one drive, but then the next drive 80 yards downfield and get a touchdown. So just kind of that difference there. But when it comes to the Chiefs, however, if they can get pressure on Allen, and also, if they can just stop the run game and their cornerbacks are able to actually defend. I mean, our cornerbacks, yeah, they're a handsy group, but it's frustrating to see cornerbacks not be able to play the position. There's no point for them to just stand there and let the guy go past them. They're going to try to do their thing and stop him. And this will kind of work in our favor because the referee crew we have this Sunday, I forgot we had on one game and they didn't really call that many penalties on us or in the game as a whole. So when you're looking at that, you're like, okay, our defense has a good chance because if we can shut down the receivers and be more physical than them, not from a cornerback standpoint, but from a linebacker to the safety, all the way to the defensive line and then our edges, if we could be just more physical and set a tone early, it's going to be a hard night for the Bills. It's going to be a difficult night for them.
See, if I'm the defense, that's my goal. Is to set that tone, like because the thing about it is we can set it early, but Josh Allen's not gonna go away.
Oh no,
So you can't, so you can't be lax and easy going in the second half. You've got to be able to take the same approach. If that's the approach you want to do, be the aggressor and show them all of that aggression. That means Jaron Reed's got to step up because Chris Jones is one of the better D tackles in the game. So you got to get Jaron Reed to step up. You've got to get like this could be a big Melvin Ingram game. This could be in fact, I could see Melvin Ingram lining up as a linebacker in a 4-3 set, and instead of and fake the coverage, fake like he's going into coverage and go for the blitz or whatever. Like I can see a lot of different things that Spags can do to help alleviate the pressure of trying to keep Josh Allen in the pocket or worried about him rushing. I can see a few different things that you can do.
I agree with you, man. It just kind of comes down to execution. And I know this team has gone through a lot this season, basically getting rattled, starting the season 3-4. Your quarterback's told he's broken. Shannon Sharp, Stephen Smith saying your defense is actually trash. They can't stop a cold. I mean, the defense has taken this to heart. And yes, they have gotten better every week. And yeah, there's been some tough games. But this is what the Chiefs need. I know people don't like to see them underdogs, but I think they perform better. All week, we've had local media members in Buffalo, New York, and all across the NFL, ESPN, the Fox Sports, NFL Network, Good Morning Football, but people are saying the Chiefs aren't good Josh Allen's the better court, so on and so forth. When you look at the numbers, Mahomes is having a better career than Josh Allen has ever had, even though it's a quote unquote down year. And you're looking at this defense is able to step up and play to a level that we haven't seen them play. Like, this is probably maybe one of the more complete defenses that can get a stop any given night. So what we're seeing here is that this team can do a lot. They can do a lot to win this game because they have all the tools and the pieces. It just comes down to execution. Spags needs to get out of the depth chart mindset. Let guys play. Let Thornhill start. I mean, I'm looking, and I'm turning to the game too, man. And I'm looking, Thornhill's out there starting in the safety position, and it's very beneficial. Very beneficial. Whenever they had the run on the first play of the game, Juan Thornhill basically did an extremely hard hit on Najee Harris. And that's set the tone for the game. You have to have a guy like that. And nothing against Dirty Dan, man. But when he was playing there, he whiffed some tackles. There was one tackle was like, man, you got to be joking me. Now, granted, the Chiefs were up 25-30, but you're looking like we cannot have him in crucial situations. If he's out there in crucial situations, he's going to cost the team a game. It's a team sport. It's a team sport. Also,
no doubt.
Sorry, go ahead, man.
No, I'm just agreeing with you. No, keep going. Keep going.
Thanks, man. And then also it's a team sport. You're going to have to play to the fullest extent you can do. And I know Peace fans aren't used to playing the wild card, but that's just kind of the cards that are dealt to us. I mean, I think Nick Wright was correct when he said this is better than the bye because it lets you kick off the cobwebs, but still be able to beat a team to this caliber. And it's going to help fuel our gears coming into this game against the Bills. Also, Andy Reid has to call the play calls. I'm echoing what you said this times a billion. Andy Reid knows what he's doing. My only concern is he can't be complacent after the first 15. You need to keep going and going and going and going. Get McKinnon on ball. Let him run. He seemed to hit the hole pretty fine. One thing about McKinnon, that I've noticed is that when he's been playing long stretches, he gets hurt. We have him at just the right time, Thizz. 5-6 games with some rest in between. Hey, this could really, really help us. Also, Darrell Williams, he's going to play. CH is probably going to come back. So we have a plethora of running backs that can hit the hole. So we're at a right time where when we really need to pick up those 10 yards and we need a first down, boom, we got the running backs to hit the hole and help us. Also, Josh Gordon, man. This could be something. I know he's been kind of here and there. We haven't seen much. But if he could, I don't know, if he could somehow maybe get some screens to him, get him in the open field, just imagine if he can get something like a couple big catches, kind of like Sam used to do back in the day.
I think you're asking for a lot. And I know.
I
know JP's listening to this and he's going to be like, oh, don't count him out and everything. I haven't seen it. I haven't seen enough to even count on that, so I'm not going to. I haven't seen enough of it to count on it, so therefore I'm not going to. I just think that it's time. I would love to see a 4-2-5 type of situation as far as on the defense is concerned. I'm not as worried about this game as I'm probably supposed to be, I guess. But it's just, there's things like I'm sitting here watching this game right now and I'm seeing them throw to Pat Freiermuth. And I see that like Tyrann Mathieu is able to sniff it out, but he got like Freiermuth just kind of pushed him to the side. Freiermuth is their tight end. And so if anybody can do that, Dawson Knox can absolutely do that. And so like you got to you got to do the matchup situation. Who's good enough to match up against whom on this defense? So that's my concept here. Because if you put Tyrann Mathieu or Matthew or let's see who's our Hitchens on a tight end, they will kill us with that. I promise you. It's a promise.
And I don't think Spags is going to do that because we saw Justin Houston one time cover Antonio Brown. I don't think Spags is that silly enough to do that. That's an abomination. Because you are preaching to the choir, man. You are absolutely correct. To see that happen and also have Justin Houston cover Amari Cooper was just crazy. Um,
Yes.
it was. But looking, I think Spags will make the right call and right decisions. What we finally saw in that Steelers game, I think it can really benefit the team going forward. They just have to bring that same energy and effort. And if they can do that, get to Allen, get a couple turnovers, at least force a bunch of punts. If you can get a bunch of punts and get a couple fourth down stops, that will be big because knowing the Bills, they're probably going to go for it on fourth down. If they're over the,
I was
go ahead.
oh, no, I don't want to. I don't want to stop you.
No, go ahead, man.
I was literally thinking a similar thing here. Um, I don't know if I talked about it in my notes or whatever, but I mentioned that I got in my notes for the Bills. They got to be aggressive. If they want to win, they have to be aggressive but not anxious. If you understand what I'm saying,
I see what you're saying.
Because Brendan Staley is aggressive, but he was anxious in that game against the Raiders, and that's what costed him the game. Like you got to be if it's Sean McDermott, right? Is that his name?
Yes.
If Sean McDermott wants to beat Andy Reid in game planning and play calling, he has to be um, he has to be aggressive but not anxious. That means not going for it on every fourth down. That means being decisive of when you're going to go for it. And you got to think about it. How aggressive can he really afford to be?
That is
Okay.
true. That is
Like,
true.
how aggressive can he really afford to be? If you're too aggressive and make a misstep in this game, in this chess match with Andy Reid, Reid and Mahomes will exploit it. They will exploit it. So you got it. So he has to. It's kind of wild to have. It's kind of wild to have a coach on their heels. If you understand what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we want to do is get him on his heels. Honestly,
Mm-hmm.
if you could create a little separation, then you obviously have him on his heels, even if they do come back. But that's my idea, man. I think there's ways that the Bills can win this game, but we got to take those things away from them.
You think Mike Hughes is more of a liability?
Yes.
Okay. Because I just
do.
saw the replay, him getting burnt. And it's kind of like, we can't afford those if he's on Stephon Diggs. We can't afford those if he's on Emmanuel Sanders. We can't.
If he's on either of those guys, you are
got to have some safety
correct.
to help over the top and kind of condense it and hope your front four can't get to Allen.
What you want to do is get him. You want to squeeze that pocket closed. Like when we talk about Mike Hughes, he tends to. I don't know how he does it, but he might be right there, and the quarterbacks understand that their wide receivers are better at high pointing the ball than Mike Hughes. So in an effort to do that, you got to squeeze them with the safety.
Yeah.
You got to squeeze them with the safety, be it Tyrann Mathieu, be it Thornhill. It's you got to squeeze them, and it's difficult to do that because Josh Allen will look you off that ball, look you off of his target. So you got to be really disciplined with your eyes.
That is true. Because I think the key is you just got to get to him. If you can get to him, it's going to make everything better for you.
Yes,
it's just
absolutely.
it's crazy just thinking of this game because the Bills are good, but I still think the Chiefs have a good chance of beating them. And it's kind of crazy they made the Chiefs a 1.5 point favorite at home. That's some disrespect, if you ask me.
And Patrick Mahomes got to take it as disrespect.
Yeah.
If Patrick Mahomes comes out and plays with thinking about his disrespect, then it's going to be a long day for him. But I don't want them to warm up to the game. That's my issue. I don't want them to the Chiefs to warm up to the game. Mm-hmm. Okay, I feel like sometimes we have to warm up to the game. And what I mean by that is that first 15 doesn't look good no matter who's calling the plays. That it's just not working right. So you can't warm up to the game.
Yeah, I think you're right, man. And you just got to continue to push through. You got to push through because This could be the last game of the season for the Chiefs, and I believe they can win. I think you do that. You believe that too. This you have to execute. If you don't execute, you're not
No
gonna do
doubt.
well. And knowing Andy and seeing what he's always done in the past, he's always been good at getting his teams prepared. I feel like, and I have a feeling they have looked at a lot of film, offensive and defensively, to see how they can beat Josh Allen. One thing Josh
So
Allen likes to do is roll out the quarterback, roll out of the pocket. And I saw a tweet earlier where whenever he wants to do it, they always pull a guard. They always pull two guards. So if you can recognize that quick, get your guys like Willie Gay, Nick Bolton there. They can burst through and cause some havoc because even though maybe Willie Gay not be in the right position, he always just brings some craziness wherever he goes. And it's kind of funny to
yes,
see because it's like, wow, this man is really destroying them.
yes, yeah. He's not a relatively big linebacker, so to see him being able to destroy plays like that is really good. Um, yes, I agree with you on that, though. I definitely agree with you.
Mhm.
What I do want to know is, well, I guess I know. I mean, like I said, I don't think Travis Kelce needs to be like. Of course, he needs to have a big game, but we don't need to rely on him so much early. That's all.
No, I
Like
think, yeah, I agree with you in that sense.
the Bills are going to beat him up. Like they're going to play as physical as they can against us, and that's a promise.
Hmm.
So why put him in those type of situations until you absolutely have to?
Hmm.
So just trying your best not to get into those positions.
Which wide receiver you think needs to step up in order to help us win?
Byron Pringle,
Pringle?
man.
Okay.
Like I don't see why he can't go on those end arounds even but Cole Harbin and Byron Pringle, same people. I think that
Mm.
both of them could Pringle could do an end around really quickly too. He's not as fast as McCole, but he's fast,
Mm.
and I think that that could work in our favor. But I know Andy has something special dialed up, and that little shovel pass that they do. I'm interested to see what happens there
I
because
wonder if they're still going to use it. I want, and
I
this is,
feel like
I,
I
mhm,
feel like it's gonna have like it just seems like they love that play, but they just get it to a different guy, like a
mhm,
Trey Burt or like a Burton or something, Michael Burton or
mhm.
somebody.
Yeah. No, you're not wrong there, man. I think kind of noticing that. And also another thing they could possibly do is have a different variation. I mean, we see Andy, he had, um, what was his name? Who was the guy who caught the touchdown pass? The offensive lineman.
Allegretti.
Yeah, Allegretti. He was the fourth option on that play. So
Yeah, he
Andy's always
was. He
coming up with
was.
something. He's always figuring out something. But
That's wild.
but real quick, this before we move on to the score prediction in the show for the night, what are your thoughts of the Chiefs signing David Arnett to a future reserve deal? I know he's had some issues in the past. He recently was cut from the Raiders for showing a gun, and I guess I don't know if he was threatening someone on camera. I'm not really sure
Yeah,
about that. What?
he was
Mhm.
on Instagram, caught threatening to kill somebody and waving a gun around. I saw the tape or whatever.
Mhm.
So they signed. I was unaware that they signed Damon Arnett.
Yeah, they just
Uh,
signed him, and people were kind of like, I know he was a former first round pick, but Beach always seems to get these guys that he wants when it comes to cornerbacks. They're every
here's my
guy that he's wanted that we've
go
had
ahead.
been able to get, he's been able to get them via trade or they've been cut. John J. Baker, Josh Jackson, Mike Hughes, just to name a few.
Damon Arnett came out of that last draft class, right?
Yes, he's a rookie. Well, he was a
Right, he's
rookie.
a rookie. So in early when I'm talking early, I mean right after the Super Bowl, right and before the combine, there was a lot of different draft predictions sites folks
Hmm.
that were actually mocking Damon Arnett to the Chiefs
Hmm.
at with our number one pick
Okay.
and with our 31st pick, right? And so I didn't want that. I thought we could get him in the second round. That's why I didn't want that.
Yeah.
Like early in the second round. If we need to move up, we can get him. But hey, it didn't happen. And now he is available. So it looks like the mock drafts were pretty correct on that. And he just found his way off of the Raiders. And maybe hopefully he'll do better here. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I think he has the skills. I think he's able to do it, and that also means that we don't have to spend another draft pick on a cornerback. Like Veach has been finding these cornerbacks.
Mm-hmm.
It's very, very odd to see. He has been finding guys that like people say he doesn't value the cornerback in the draft, but he ends up getting these guys from other teams who are good enough, and he lets his safeties figure, help them out, whatever needs to happen. The coaching staff does, and it ends up working out for us. So I'm not against him doing this. This is actually kind of great. That's a great deal.
I know people are trying to understand why Veach would do that, and I mean, I guess Veach gets who he wants, and Veach is a good scout. And knowing the Chiefs, they do the due diligence before they sign a player. So from what I've seen in the past, I have no problem with this move because I know the Chiefs are going to try to help him like they do every player. So I'm not worried about the move. And I know people are kind of, well, he did this and he did that. And, of course, another crazy person goes to the Chiefs, where I'm like thinking, okay, you can say the Chiefs have players with, I guess, a troubled history, but a lot of your players, a lot of your coaches, GMs, and owners have gotten in trouble with the law too. So it's kind of like, if you're coming after our guys, I'm pretty sure they could find stuff on your guys too. You know what I'm saying?
People are people.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody has checkered past.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, not everybody, but people have checkered past. And the thing about it is making sure you make the most of the present and the future, doing what you can to put yourself in better situations. So, since they signed Damon Arnett, I think that he could be an asset here.
Yeah.
I definitely, and we didn't lose a draft pick to get him.
Didn't.
Which also helps us out, because I think we'll probably be looking for another safety here come next season. I don't know that for a fact, but we will see.
Well, someone's gonna have to replace Sorensen, so they'll have to get someone else for sure.
Yeah, you're right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but yeah, I mean, it just kind of always frustrates me that people dog on the Chiefs. I'm like, they're trying to help these players fix their lives, make them a better people, make them better football players. Most importantly, Andy makes them better men. So to see that, it just kind of frustrates me. But I mean, at the end of the day, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. I mean, if they can't they will get him what he can handle as far as help. Mm-hmm. But ultimately it's up to the person to want the help.
That's true.
You know what
that
I
is
mean?
very true.
So if he doesn't want it, we'll move on, and no love lost there. Nothing lost there. So I think it's a good pick.
That is true, man. That is true. All right, Thizz, we're about at the end of the show, man. What is your score prediction for Sunday night's game? 5:40 CT time, Bills Chiefs. What is your score prediction?
I'm going to pick 27-31 Chiefs.
27-31 Chiefs. All right. I'm going to go and say, I'm going to say 29 to 23. I think it's going to be, I'm going to give Chiefs about a 6-point win. However, I would not be surprised if it goes to over a 10-point spread as well. But I'm saying 29-23. I could see this becoming more of a defensive battle, depending on how these Chiefs teams' defenses react to each other. The Chiefs could easily just score over 30, which I think is very possible. I think 29 points here, in my opinion, is a safe bet, just coming from what I've seen with this team so far.
Man, I don't even like doing predictions, but since I'm on the show, I want to do what I win in Rome, do as the Romans. So that's why I made the prediction. So we'll see.
I hear you, man. I hear you. Well, Thizz, I appreciate you coming on the show again, man. We'll have to have you on again in the future. I really do appreciate that. Thank you.
It's no problem. We send our thoughts and prayers to JP. I'll probably end up contacting him tomorrow and just seeing how he's doing. But thoughts and prayers out to him. Glad you recovered as well. And thanks for having me on.
No problem. No problem, Thizz. I really do appreciate it. Yeah, thank you guys, everyone who's continuing listening to the show. Please keep JP in your thoughts and prayers as he battles the COVID. If you guys could, we really would appreciate if you could please go follow Thizz on Twitter. Thizz, can you throw us your at?
At IMUINKC. All right. And that's Twitter. That's my Twitter.
Awesome. And also, guys, try to make sure to follow the Chiefs Focus page at Chiefs Focus on Twitter. We're on all your podcast networks. It was been brought to our attention that some of our podcasts have not been going on certain podcast sites, most importantly, Apple. We are trying to get that fixed right now, so bear with us, guys. If you really want to listen to the show, just type in Chiefs Focus First and 10 Show Spreaker. It'll come up there. Also, check out our website, Chiefs Focus, www.chiefsfocus.com, and please subscribe to our show. It's free. All you need to do is put in your email address, and what it does is it lets you know every time we do an article. It ships it right to your inbox, so you are the first person to know. As JP always says, we appreciate everything you guys are doing. Please continue to support us and everything we're doing. We appreciate you guys, a fan, for continuing to help us get to our goal. Also, last thing, if you go to Chiefs Focus, our Twitter account, if you go to the pin tweet, we have a giveaway. We are giving away a signed Dwayne Bowe jersey from back in the day. So I want you guys to enter that, please. There's 3 different steps. The 4th step is optional. All you would need to do for that 4th step is subscribe to the show and subscribe to our website and DM us. Or you can also, I'll send this courtesy out to everyone else. If you want to subscribe to our podcast or just follow it and send us a screenshot from that aspect, DM it to us. That will be fine as well. So we appreciate you guys listening to the show. You got any last thoughts, Thizz?
Not really. We just need to just win, baby. Just win.
Yes, sir. You're right about that. Well, everybody, we appreciate you coming on. Appreciate you guys listening to the show. Just keep JP in your prayers, and we'll see you guys after the game. And we'll also have a couple spaces coming up Saturday and Sunday. Peace out, Chiefs Kingdom. See you guys.